What if it rained food? What if Earth was a cube? What if we had 9 lives? What if bits could fly? It's absurd. If money grew on trees, if we didn't have knees, if we walked through life slightly magnetical, it's absurd. Absurd Hypotheticals.
Hello everybody and welcome to Absurd Hypotheticals, the show where we overthink dumb questions so you don't have to. I'm your host Marcus Lehner, and I'm joined here today by Ben Storms and, well, just Ben Storms.
Hi, I'm Ben Storms and only me.
Yeah, so this is gonna require story time again, about why we don't have all the boys were back in town, and then a few days back over the weekend, the boys were literally back in town. Me, Chris, and Ben were getting together to celebrate our more back in actionness, but Chris is still hobbling around on this little like leg boot, like not the full cast, but like the boot that you can walk on, and so it's like half mobile.
The big unwieldy, like sort of limpy one,
Yeah, and so what we did, we wanted to avoid the train tracks because obviously Chris is just
scarred by them both. Yeah, literally scarred by them almost.
So we were walking and Chris was hobbling next to us, and Boston, you would think it would be kind of fine now that it's technically spring, but it was not fine. There was still a little bit of ice around. And so as we're walking to the bar to celebrate being back in action, Chris slips on the fucking sidewalk and, would you know, twists his other fucking ankle.
Yep.
So now Chris has literally no ankles remaining. And so we're waiting, Chris is on the ground. We're waiting, and this fucking cyclist comes up on the road, and, they're supposed to be, on the side of the road. I'm not clear what cyclist rules actually are.
No one is.
You're supposed to be in the street, but you're not supposed to be... You're too slow to be a car. So this guy was on the sidewalk, which you don't see too much in Boston. But this guy comes over, and I'm not sure if Chris was hidden, leaning against the wall, but, rides his bike over Chris's leg. Which may have been a sprain originally, but now is definitely in much, much worse shape. And so me and Ben, we took Chris, we pick him up. We're walking down the street, and just trying to get him somewhere, I guess that was a bit more bike proof. And fuck, I don't know, guys. Chris, where the fuck are you?
I was gonna come in, but I wanted to see where you were going with this story.
No,
I thought it was inspired personally.
I like the fact that I slipped on the ice, and I could have easily just broken my ankle like that, but then someone ran over my ankle.
Yeah.
And then you're like, and then we got up and started walking.
I couldn't think of a third thing, but I was kind of hoping as it would escalate, you would be like, no, that didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't break my other ankle. I'm here.
Yeah, so April Fools, Chris is not break his other ankle, even though that could have totally happened. I almost started believing it myself.
We don't even know what the story is anymore.
So... that brings us, let's get down to what we're here to do, which is answer these hypothetical questions.
Yes, it's April Fool's, but we don't have April Fool's themed questions. It's just normal questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I pranked myself in the route I went with my answer.
That was the ultimate self-pranking.
Okay, it wasn't the ultimate self-prank because it's not a very good in a funny, hilarious, ironic prank sense. It was more like I just tried to figure one thing out and then couldn't let it go. And now I have just a page of words.
Cool.
But you're going to have to wait for that because Chris is going to start us off on our first question, which is, what if nothing could dissolve in water?
Yes, and so we had to define what dissolve in water actually means. And I think we said that anything that's water soluble doesn't actually, dissolving is something breaks down in water and it becomes a homogeneous solution. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't happen.
Right, so there's still water around, but nothing, it kind of stays pure water.
Right, so they stay separate. So, if you put something in it, then the solid will stay solid, water will stay water.
Like water and oil, except everything is oil now?
As noted philosophers, The Offspring once said, you gotta keep them separated. Anyway, Chris.
So I looked specifically at pools and swimming pools because I guess it's not really summer yet, but it's getting a little warmer, and people like to swim when it gets warmer. So I'm looking way into the future. And I wanted to look at how we clean pools. So pools have a bunch of different ways of cleaning. The first way that we clean pools is through a filter system. So there are a bunch of drains that capture the water, and it sends it through the filter system. And there is a drain on the bottom of the pool, like the lowest point. And then there are a bunch of what they call skimmers, like around the surface of the pool, that captures all the water that's on like the very surface of the pool. Mm-hmm. So it like captured everything that's floating. So after it goes into the drains, it goes through the filter system. And it goes through what they call a sand filter, which is like a bunch of tiny little particles.
Sand? You mean sand?
Yes.
We got this complex, the sand filter. It's a bunch of sand.
So it filters through the sand, and the sand actually takes out all like the bigger debris and stuff. And some pools use different types of filters, not sand filters, but I think the most common is the sand filter. And then the water just gets pumped back into the pool, and it's pretty simple. That's it. And then once the filter gets too dirty, what they do is they backwash the filter. So they like blow a bunch of water back into it, and they dump it out into sewage. And that's how they clean the filter.
Makes sense.
Okay. And then they actually connect the pools to a water line to like refill all the water that's lost from backwashing and from like evaporation and splash out and stuff like that. So that's like the physical mechanism of removing dirt, debris, sunscreen, stuff like that. But there's also other things that you need to pay attention to when you're cleaning a pool. One of them is the pH of the water. So the pH of water is just 7. So actually what affects the pH of a substance is like the ratio between hydrogen ions and hydroxide ions. And since water has like an equal ratio, it means it's like a neutral pH, and neutral is 7 on the scale of pH. So if the pH is lower, it means it's more acidic, and if it's higher, it's more basic. And if the water in the pool is too acidic, it can corrode the metal in the pipes and all the metal equipment and stuff. It gets in the water and it irritates the skin.
Yeah, it can corrode the people, is my main concern if the water gets a little too acidic. You don't have to tell me my pool being acidic is bad because it's going to like rust my filters. It's bad because I have an acid pool.
Right. And then if it's too basic, it makes the pool like cloudy. It gives it a cloudy, I don't know, nature to it.
Well, it gets cloudy because it keeps going back to Starbucks to get fucking like frappuccinos.
Yeah, it keeps like had to put up like BuzzFeed and stuff, and you know.
So the ideal pH is like around neutral. It's actually a little more basic. It's supposed to be around like 7.2 to 7.8. And how they control the pH is they just add chemicals to raise or lower it. And then the third thing that you have to pay attention to when you're cleaning a pool is all the bacteria that can form in a pool. And the way they deal with that is they add chlorine. And it's not actually the chlorine that kills the bacteria. What happens is that the chlorine reacts with the water, and it creates what's called hypochlorous acid, and that kills the bacteria. So the first two ways of maintaining a pool, they don't really change that much if nothing dissolves in water. Like the filtration system's going to stay the same, basically.
Well, do you even need a filtration system? Because, like, what are you even filtering?
I mean, this would be like...
Well, there's still debris and stuff.
Yeah,
in
there'll
there.
be like shit in there, yeah.
I guess.
And then the pH is actually easier to maintain because it'll just always naturally be neutral. Because there are no, like, reactions going on in the water to change that. So the pH is easy to maintain. The one problem is the bacteria. So we need that reaction with the chlorine to create the hypochlorous acid. And since chlorine doesn't dissolve in the water, that reaction doesn't happen. So I was wondering, does hypochlorous acid occur in nature like naturally? And I did find one source of natural hypochlorous acid. It's in the blood of mammals.
Oh.
Yeah, so white blood cells produce it as a way to like, it's part of your immune system to fight bacteria in the blood.
And if they need to host a cool pool party.
Yeah.
So you're telling me your swimming pool now requires a blood sacrifice?
Yeah, so if you want a pool, you need to sacrifice. It doesn't need to be people. It can be mammals. It just needs to be some sort of mammal. It can be people if you want. And then since the hypochlorous acid is, I actually couldn't find the density of it, but it's either going to sink or float. It's not going to like mix with the pool. So you need a way to mix it just to get it like throughout the water so I can kill all the bacteria. Most pools have like what they call an anti-vortex drain to prevent like a whirlpool effect from happening, so it doesn't like suck people down into the drain. We're just gonna get rid of that, so that there's a constant whirlpool in the pool, and they'll be constantly mixing the blood into the pool.
Wait, I don't think if you turn the vortex doohickey of the drain off, I don't think your pool suddenly becomes a vortex.
I think naturally, well, I don't know exactly, but like,
No, okay, so imagine a pond.
I'm imagining like a bathtub.
There
like,
is a
little
vortex.
Okay, now imagine a bathtub with like...
It's not going to be like the normal long-shaped pool. It's all going to be circled around that drain. Or you can have multiple drains.
You can have big drains or induce a vortex, but I don't think it's going to naturally form... Like, the little drain is not going to make a giant pool vortex.
Fine, then just put a giant fan at the bottom.
Yay.
Now we're having fun. I
don't know. I feel like blood funnel is a pretty fun thing. I like the first idea.
No. The fan is perfect because all you have to do then is lead your sacrificial animals in a tunnel under the pool.
Ooh.
And then put them up in the fan.
Yeah.
Sold me.
You're efficient. Efficiency here. It's probably not the best idea to just put straight up blood in there. You probably want to... there's probably a way to extract the hypochlorous acid from the blood. I didn't look into that, but yeah. So if you want a pool, I mean, the easy solution is just to not have a pool. But if you want a pool, then sacrifice animals or people, and then giant fan. And that is my solution.
Very good.
Marcus.
Yep, that's me. I'm next.
What did you do?
All right, so I looked at the most water, which is the oceans. It was actually kind of funny because I just realized I have a lot of ocean facts kind of just like in my back pocket now from previous episodes.
Yeah, it kind of happens when you do this show.
I was able to do like a good chunk of this like almost off the top of my head, and then I got down my rabbit hole. So
Are you saying we're actually getting smarter?
No.
no, we're getting more full of useless knowledge is what's happening. So first off, if nothing dissolves in water, now the ocean is going to do the same thing as the pool, and that everything is going to either sink or float, and everything that's dissolved in the water is going to separate. There's two main things that are going to dissociate. Obviously, the first one is the salt in the sea. Generally, the sea has a salinity of 35%, which means by weight, 3.5% of the ocean's weight is salt. So if you look at the average ocean depth is a little over 12,000 feet, and if you take, say, 1 square meter of ocean, that'll weigh 3.9 million kilograms, just the column of ocean water. And of that 3.9 million kilograms, 136,000 of them are just straight salt. And so obviously the salt is going to sink, and it's going to leave you with a salt layer of about 208 feet sitting at the bottom of the ocean, which is not, I guess, like super conducive to life in the ocean, but I don't think the life in the ocean is really going to happen anyway, because a big important part of fish is that they need to absorb the oxygen that is dissolved in the water. So all the fish are going to be not alive. So there's a bunch of salt at the bottom of the sea. It's not really affecting anybody too badly.
It's like super far down there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the bottom. So
Yeah.
the 11,800th foot to the 12,000th foot is salt.
So we're never going to see it.
Nope.
By the beaches, there'll be more. The beaches will be
that's true.
saltier, I guess. But the other thing that interesting dissolved in the ocean is the carbon, or more accurately, the carbon in the form of CO2. Right now, there is 16 times more carbon dissolved in the ocean than there is in the atmosphere. Basically, when the ocean dissociates itself, the salt's going to go down, and all the CO2 is going to go up into the air. And based on the radiative forcing equation of global warming, the global temperature would increase by an average of 11.9 degrees Celsius, which doesn't sound like a huge number, like, day to day, but if you follow the news and see how freaked out people are over like a 1.1 degree increase in the global temperature, 11.9 is fairly bad for everybody.
I'm pretty sure that like 9 degrees is the point where Earth becomes basically uninhabitable.
Oh, that's a good figure.
Yeah, I can't remember. Let me find the actual one, but it's a lot less than I feel like it should be. But there you go.
Right. So that's the main thing. So basically, the ocean's going to be big, dead, empty, and salty on the bottom. But there's one more interesting thing that I found to do with the ocean here. The ocean is now pure water. So nothing can dissolve it. It stays pure. And okay, so the ocean is now pure water. The interesting about pure water, compared to non-pure water, is that non-pure water typically conducts electricity fairly well. So if you ever played a video game where you threw like, the frayed wire into the puddle to kill the bad guy, or
The classic like toaster in the bathtub.
correct, toaster in the bathtub, all that. Water conducts electricity quite well. But actually, it's only because there are things dissolved in it. So when things are dissolved in water, there's a lot of free electrons, which are actually what makes a thing conductive, and those free electrons will give a path for all the electricity and charges to follow through. Pure water does not have those free electrons. So pure water is actually a complete insulator. So it got me thinking, if water can't conduct electricity, what happens to a thunderstorm that's over the ocean? And the first question is, will lightning even strike the ocean at all anymore?
It's a really interesting question.
Oh, Marcus went down the rabbit hole on this one. I already know some of this.
I called everyone I know with an electrical engineering degree to post questions to them. Ben, you were surprisingly unhelpful.
Okay, in my defense, I was also at work at the time and couldn't really join you in the rabbit hole.
Your work you don't work as an electrical engineer.
I don't.
But
I do not.
So first I want to see what kind of impact this would have, because I was like, all right, salt water conducts electricity very well, so there's got to be like all this electricity already striking, all these lightning strikes already hitting the ocean, and if they're not hitting the ocean, are they going to hit the land? And so I looked online, and thanks to NASA's Lighting Imaging Sensor on the Tropical Rainfall Measuring Mission satellite, I learned that lightning actually strikes land 70 more times than the ocean.
Wow.
And this is less to do about lightning liking to hit the ground more than hitting the water, which I believe it does. But it's more about the conditions to create a thunderstorm is you actually need the warm air low to the ground, and the ground heats up much more effectively than the entire ocean. So lightning strikes land 70 times more than the ocean, mostly because almost all the thunderstorms are over land.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. In order for lightning to strike, what needs to happen is the clouds up in the sky have a negative charge on the bottom. The ground will have the opposite positive charge, and the difference between the negative cloud and the positive ground will cause a lightning strike to happen. That connection will be made. And so I was like, okay, so since the water has no charge, lightning won't strike the ocean, and all the thunderstorm clouds are going to get stuck above the ocean. But it's actually not how it works. So if you think about it, the ground is normally not electrically charged all the time. Like, you're not getting, your hair isn't standing on end, or there's no like buzz going on. Your cell phone's not like having its memory corrupted while you walk across the earth. But it's definitely positively oriented during lightning strike. So what actually happens is the negative charge in the sky is so large that it actually causes the ground to become positively charged by reorienting the electrons and the molecules in the ground on the surface. And this effect, even though our water is neutral and an insulator, can affect the surface of the water. So because the sky is negative, it causes the very top of the ocean, all those molecules, to reorient so that there is a positive charge on the ocean surface. And you can actually cause a lightning strike to happen on the water. What's interesting is what happens next.
I was just about to ask that.
So lightning strikes the water, and now this area of water is positively charged. Normally what happens is that when lightning strikes the ocean, it hits the ocean and then dissipates in the first, few dozen feet or however, an area of the ocean. It just dissipates around and goes away. But electricity needs a conductor in order to dissipate. But now there is no conductors anywhere close by, because the entire ocean is now pure water for thousands and thousands and thousands of feet. So what happens is the ocean, that area of ocean will stay charged until something comes in contact with it that is a conductor.
So stay away from the ocean.
Yeah, so basically there's a couple, and this is where it's tough to tell, because it actually gets pretty deep into the base science of things, and I did not go to get my degree in electrical engineering, so I am not 100% clear if a boat passing through a patch of charged ocean will get just struck by a hidden lightning bolt, but I think the answer is yes. I think the charge wants to move into the boat parts that has all the free electrons and all the conductive materials in it, so there's a decent chance that you just are in your boat and just get struck by lightning out of fucking nowhere. And then if there is no boat or anything to help dissipate that charge, the question is then where does it go? So I was reading online that if you have a fluid in in a insulated container, and they usually worry about flammable gas, like gasoline, and if it moves around the insulated container, it starts generating a little bit of charge, and over time that can build up, and the static charge can actually stay and last for years in these containers, which are even less, it's less of a buffer than having the entire ocean. So the electric charges could last and move around the ocean for years and years and years. So I think what happens is the water stays charged until it gets to the land. And what you're going to have is just effectively thunder beaches where a good chunk of the water coming to the beach is where it's going to find its connection to the land and emit that static charge.
Because the water in the ocean isn't stationary. It's moving around and stuff.
Right.
Exactly. So it'll just float around and maybe they'll come and join together into a giant blob of lightning. And then suddenly, like, Hawaii is gone after a big flash of light. The implications are just, like, crazy. Conclusion, it's fucking wild. It just continuously boggles my mind. I'm just like, I keep mulling this over. Like, I'm going to be like thinking about this for weeks. We're going to do another question where I can take the same research and like expand it.
Lightning themed question.
Yeah, give me a lightning question. I'll cover the ocean. So thank you for joining me on my rabbit hole. I'm going to pass the baton over to Ben.
Hi. Just as a quick loop back. So I did look up the number. It looks like at 11 or 12 degrees Celsius of warming, over half the world's population, as currently distributed, would die of just like direct heat. And then there'd also be lots of issues with like crops and stuff. So yeah, the heat thing would probably be pretty bad too. But I can kill us much faster than that in this question.
I take this as a challenge.
I do. I feel like, so one of the fun things, I feel like I often wind up with the kill everyone answers in this show.
You do very often.
I think part of that is that you guys will pick your answers, and it's very clear that you're not going to wind up killing everyone in a situation where everyone is totally going to die, and someone has to talk about it. Today, I'm going to talk about biology, and specifically bodily fluids.
Is water important, Ben?
Water is actually pretty important. I'm going to even ignore the whole our body is like however much percentage water thing, because that's probably also bad in other general ways, but we're going to talk about specific bodily fluids today and the ways they're going to cause us to die.
Number 1, piss.
We're going to get there. Number 1 is actually milk.
Okay. Not what I expected.
Milk is actually a fun one because milk is technically not an aqueous solution. It's technically not a solution in water. It's technically an emulsion, which is a mixture of two liquids that you can't mix together. I know what you're saying. That doesn't make sense. Yes, but basically in an emulsion, there's some other thing in there, the emulsifier, that allows you to mix those two things together. A good example is soap. Allows water and oil to interact in a way that you can get soap, oil off of greasy pans and shit. Or like if you make a vinaigrette, it's, like the citrus. I think it's if you do like vinegar and oil, normally they don't mix, but if you add in like mustard or there's other things you can add in there too, it'll allow them to mix and make an actual, mixture.
I did not know any of those things. Chris, did you know those things? Am I the only one?
I knew the milk thing. I didn't, and I knew the soap thing.
Science.
I didn't know any of those science facts. I'm so happy I'm here.
Yeah. So milk is an emulsion of butterflat globules and a water-based solution. So we're so close, guys. We almost got there.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
So the milk is not entirely useless. Obviously, milk is a thing that mammals use to give nutrients to babies. It's important. So this milk is pretty useless. It's not entirely useless. It's pretty much just fatty water. But in that fat, there are some fat-soluble vitamins and the like essential fatty acids. So you have like vitamin A, D, E, and K are all still in there. And apparently, let me see, linoleic and linolensic acids. But unfortunately, all of the proteins and every other vitamin that's in milk is in that water-based solution. It's not going to be able to like support life. So that's kind of a long-term thing. We'd probably die from the whole heat death and lightning beaches and all that shit first. But it's still...
Well, I feel like only a small percentage are going to die on the lightning beaches. There's a lot of land that's not lightning beach.
Don't forget the pool sacrifices.
The pool sacrifices are going to take a chunk too. You're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get on. So I know you brought up urine. We will talk about urine. Urine is also a problem. Urine is obviously very heavily water. It's like 95% water. The stuff that's not water in there is basically stuff that your body is trying to get rid of because it's bad for your body. Your kidney filters things out of your blood, put it in water, and then just ship it on out as urine. So one of the big things that it ships out is urea, which is an organic compound that our body uses to remove ammonia from our body, which we generate when we metabolize amino acids from proteins we eat. Ammonia is obviously toxic. It's not good. You do not want it in your body. So make it urea, put it in urine, ship it out. Urine, you also like excess phosphates and potassium and stuff all also get bundled up in there and put out as well. So if this isn't happening because they can't get, form a solution in the urine, you're going to have urea in the blood, which is bad because you're going to get a lot of like vomiting, nausea, not good stuff from that.
Yeah, there's a lot of back-to-back not friendly body words coming in.
Phosphates are going to build up, which are going to cause... I love the escalation here on Wikipedia. Itching, not the worst thing. Bone damage, a little worse. And probably my least favorite thing, non-union and broken bones, which is just bones that break just won't heal like ever. Your body's just like, nah, it's fine like that. So that's not cool. Also muscle cramps, which was after that, which I felt like is a mistake because that's clearly the worst part in there is the non-union and broken bones. Then also build up potassium, which is abnormal heart rhythms and muscle paralysis. And all these things, you're going to die. It's not good. So that'll kill you. But we can still do better. We can still get this faster. We can die even faster than this.
Efficiency.
All right. And this is the bad one. By the way, basically every bodily fluid is going to be affected. And these are just the ones that I could get like the firmest science on. But this one, the bad one really is blood plasma, which is the fluid that your blood is basically the fluid that your blood cells are suspended in. And at first I thought that there was like an outside shot that maybe you'd be okay because like the blood cell.
Did you really? That does.
Okay. Let me, there are a lot of A's in that maybe and a lot of like A's also in the okay. And it's like a lot of question marks after it, but no, I did literally any research and no. So my train of thought was that like I know the blood cells are suspended in there, they're not like dissolved in, so you can still carry the blood cells. But the issue is kind of twofold. One, the one that doesn't actually matter is that if you put blood cells into like distilled water, basically because of the difference in pressure, water just flows into them until they explode, which is pretty bad. But that wouldn't even actually matter in the first place because the reason that happens is that your blood cells also have water in them that have things dissolved in them. So that actually wouldn't happen because the water would be at the same pressure. The issue is that the things that are dissolved in your blood cells primarily are things like the carbon dioxide that's pulling out of your lungs to stop you from asphyxiating. So you're going to asphyxiate basically immediately, which will kill you pretty quickly. So
is that the most efficient way we're going to die?
That's, I think, the most efficient way you're going to die is just that suddenly, basically, we won't be able to breathe. So my next question was, and this was a pretty quick one, can anything live? The answer is pretty much no.
Pretty much no. That's much more optimistic than I was expecting.
Well, so basically the only thing that's going to be able to live is things without blood, which there admittedly aren't many of.
Or water.
Well, so, okay. So things without blood, there are some. It's pretty much like flatworms and cnidarians. I'm not pronouncing that correctly. It's the one that's with the C in the front of it. I don't know how you say that. Cnidarians. CNID. It doesn't matter. Basically, jellyfish, sea anemones, and corals. They don't have a circulatory system. It's like, okay, they don't have blood. Maybe they survive. The problem is, it's because they just absorb nutrients directly from the water they're in, and those aren't going to be there because they're dissolved in the water. So they also die. So everything dies pretty much immediately, which is honestly what I expected when I went down this whole path anyway. So
and it's honestly what both me and Marcus avoided from the get-go.
And this is why I have to do these things, because you guys aren't going to do them. I have to do the hard research.
I have to do the hard research of, yes, everyone died. Yes, you're dead.
But how? That's the fun part. I mean, let me say that in a way that doesn't make me sound like a serial killer. Nope, there's not one. Just take it away.
Things you've called fun this episode. Milk and dying.
Milk is fun. You know what? Let me just stop while I'm ahead.
I am upset at you that your answer started off with the mental image of chunky breast milk and then never improved.
That could help.
All right, well, now that I'm sufficiently grossed out, I think before you gross me out anymore, we're going to jump right into our middle of the
Cod pass.
Our fish-based episode.
I'm gonna jump right into the middle of the podcast break. I'm definitely editing out podcast.
That's our fish history.
The thing is, if I was editing it, I would totally leave it in.
Yep.
Welcome to the middle of the podcast. I'm gonna keep this one pretty brief and just ask for one specific thing instead of listing all our things. And mostly, we would love to get more questions from you guys. So go to your email, take your mouse and put it by the thing that says to, the TO, and maybe a colon, and type in absurdhypotheticals@gmail.com. Subject, I have a question. And then by that email, give us your awesome hypothetical question that me, Chris, and Ben would be more than happy to answer. Until then, we'll be answering our own questions, like this one in part 2. Welcome back, everybody. We are going to move into the second question of our episode, which is, which superhero would win in a fight? So, Ben, I'm going to let you start off with your superhero powers that you randomly selected from the Superpower Wiki.
We did this once before, and we should explain how we did it.
Yeah, there's a Superpower Wiki. It's actually not just superpowerwiki.com. That would be more useful, but just Google it and you'll see it. There's a random button. You can hit that, get a random power. It's fun.
I think we should make a point that this superhero wiki is like...
Oh, it is buck wild.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they just don't edit it at all.
They don't.
But literally every power from every side character from every single thing is like in here. Like, for example, one of my powers is from a villain from... like a throwaway villain from one episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's like the known user of this power.
There you go.
So it goes real deep, and it goes like, it takes itself way too seriously.
Yeah, it scrapes the bottom of the barrel, and that barrel goes way far down.
Ben, you got like one power that was like, you have the ability to be a heart, right?
Yeah, you could just it wasn't just like you morphed into a heart, it was like you
take all the characteristics of a heart.
Yeah. So this just meant you could like get hurt really easily because you were just a heart. Like there were no benefits, only downsides.
So we didn't actually go with that one for you.
Did not use that one. Yeah. We've had some powers when we've done this before that were a little either too powerful or too weird and dumb to really be good. And we were a little more a little more strict with our like vetoes this time to try to get a little more well-rounded matchup, I guess.
Yeah, because I would say the last round I was overpowered.
Yes.
So we tried to avoid that this time.
It wasn't even so much that you were overpowered, which you were, but also like one of your powers was so strange because you could use any powers we weren't thinking of.
Yeah.
Which just doesn't even make any sense. So Ben, which ones did you actually?
The ones actually, so we're gonna go in I believe, in my opinion at least, increase in order of buck wildness. So first off, we have Earth Artillery, which is the ability to use Earth-based abilities by using ranged weapons as conduits, which is basically like I can use a gun to shoot Earth magic. Pretty much. As far as this is one of those ones where they unfortunately didn't go into way too much detail on it, so it left it a little in the eye of the beholder. But definitely to have some kind of weapon, so I guess like a gun.
Yeah, like what about Earth makes a gun? What about Earth magic makes a gun better? Like shooting a rock, I think, is worse than shooting a bullet.
I mean,
metal is better than rocks.
Yeah. We'll come to that when we come to that.
I think it kind of has like Pokemon logic, right?
That's kind of my theory too.
Oh, like maybe it's like a Final Fantasy element. I can see them putting the entirety of all Final Fantasy magic abilities on this website.
Pretty much, yeah. The example given is actually from Power Rangers, which is true of 2 of my 3 powers, actually.
What? Okay.
Anyway, continuing. Next we have...
Wait, can you... Unless it's obvious, can you not tell us what the second Power Ranger power is and we have to guess?
Yeah, you can guess. We can do this. All right. So my second power is spiritual flame manipulation, which is the power to manipulate spiritual flames, which, once again, thanks guys for being clear on that one. But basically, it's not just regular fire, it's fire formed from your soul. And this is one of those things where I really wish they'd given me literally any examples. I'm going to read the exact line. Due to being comprised of spiritual power, these flames aren't only stronger than usual flames, but also have the power to affect one's soul in varying ways. Please, God, could you give me just one of those?
You light a fire in your soul, Ben.
I guess. One of the applications to give, by the way, is death empowerment through burning souls, which I don't know what that means, but it's a great, like, metal song name.
Oh, no, it means when you kill shit, you can't, like, bring them back as a zombie because you burn their soul away.
I don't know.
Like, they're super dead.
I think it means that in order to use your power, you need to like collect souls.
Could be. Like, one of the limitations is may need to burn souls so that the fire gets stronger.
Okay, well, now it's just anything that you want, then.
Yeah, that's up to you whether you want to use that.
Man, I really don't want to. That one gets kind of dark. And then final power, before you make your Power Rangers guess on which one was Power Rangers one, is life organic manipulation, which is basically I can give things life.
Fuck! Neither of these sound like Power Ranger powers.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure none of the Power Rangers could give life or manipulate fire.
Allows them to not only create and give life with the organic or essence/matter, but even grant it sapience/sentience and possibly even free will/soul of its own. Combo!
Oh! Ben's got a plan.
So which one do you think is related to Power Rangers? Soul burning or spiritual flame or organic manipulation?
I'm going to say organic life manipulation because that seems more like in the spirit of Power Rangers, like giving life instead of burning souls.
So I'm thinking along the same lines. Ben, my question is, when you say it's from Power Rangers, is it a Power Ranger using it, or is it a Power Ranger villain?
That's a good question.
Power?
I don't know if I can tell you that.
I think that means it's not a Power Ranger.
I will say Earth Artillery was a Power Ranger. Life organic matter manipulation / spiritual flame was a villain.
Oh, that changes things.
Actually, to me, I think it's the life-giving one.
Sure, I'll stick with the life-giving one.
I think there's probably a necromancer or something.
It was Ivan Ooze in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. He does not appear in any media outside that which relates to the movie. What does this dude even do? He can... Henchman generation. He created the Oozeman from lightning that created ooze that his minions were birthed from. That was a sentence actually in the wiki that I feel like had about twice as many words as it needed. Created the Oozeman from lightning that created ooze that his minions were birthed from. Anyway, I don't have a backstory for this dude because I could think of one for any pair of the powers, but the third power made the other ones not make sense in context. Every single time. So I don't know, man.
So give me.
It's okay. Well, so he has a gun that we know, which locks us in.
Okay, so that's the weapon you're choosing. It's a gun.
Yeah.
As your conduit for your Earth thing.
Is that like a bow? But like,
I mean, a gun is obviously better.
A gun is clearly better.
Do you have anything besides your guy as a dude with a
gun? Here's the problem: is that I was figuring it was going to be like a hippie because of like the soul thing and the life infusion thing, but why the hippie wouldn't have a gun? This is the problem I run into. It's someone who was not a hippie and then became a hippie and then took back their gun to protect the earth by shooting it at things.
Ex-hippie.
Ex-hippie.
It's a hippie with a dark backstory. So he was part of a hippie.
He was like in a biker gang, and then
he was a hippie in a hippie conclave, and then a biker gang destroyed his hippie conclave, but he joined the biker gang.
Right. And now he protects the earth by shooting it at people.
He shoots the earth at people.
Yep. And then also apparently just makes stuff come alive because he doesn't have any friends. I don't know. Like...
Yeah, and then the biker gang, they all died in a horrible global warming accident. And so now... For revenge, he's going around.
Global warming accident.
Okay, do you have a name for your hero?
Dirt Bike.
Dirt Man.
Dirt Bike's very good.
Off-brand Ghost Rider.
Dirt Bike is so good because you have Earth powers. And
Dirt Bike is pretty good. All right. He is basically just off-brand Ghost Rider, though. I'm realizing that's what this backstory is.
That is true.
Yeah, that's fine. All superheroes are rip off those other superheroes.
I thought you were going to say you're off of Ghost Rider. Anyway. Marcus, what did you do?
So, my 3 powers. I think I'll go, again, from like you did, from most normal to weirdest. So my first one, vibration ball projection. The user can project balls or spheres of vibration/vibratory energy. All the words in this sentence have slashes in between them.
I see.
So I can create or project balls or spheres of vibrations or vibratory energy with various effects, levels of damage, and size. These spheres can be projected, used as part of melee attacks, orbit around the user, or as ways of transportation.
I'm not gonna lie, 80% of what you said was just incredibly sexually charged.
I mean, only because vibration is in there.
I mean,
And
balls.
spheres.
And balls, I guess.
And various levels of size. You know, there's a lot of innuendo in this vibration ball projection.
Put that out there.
It basically is just kind of like generic superhero, like Dragon Ball Z Energy Blast type things, except there are technically vibrations and not, spirit energy. My next power, which is probably a little bit less helpful in a fight, is artistic inducement. This is the one from the one villain from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the user can induce a variety of artistic talents in people, such as singing, dancing, drawing, etc. So I can make people good at art.
So this is, you can make us good at it, but it doesn't make us do it, right?
No.
No, yeah, I can just make you good at it.
If we choose to do it, we'll be better, though.
Yeah, like if you choose to do it, you're gonna be so much better at, I don't know, fucking dancing. And then this one, which I was super hyped when I first saw it, and then less hyped when I actually read it, is psychic weather manipulation. So I'm gonna be clear. This is not the ability to psychically manipulate the weather.
Yep, this one's deceptive.
This is the ability to manipulate psychic weather. So the user can create, shape, or manipulate psychic weather, which allows them to create stormy emotions in targets or trigger mental states based on meteorological nature. Example, feeling depressed during rain.
Is there a weather status that makes you want to dance?
There definitely 100% is. I think it's kind of just like a warm, uplifting breeze, like a breeze that comes down and then goes up, and it feels nice.
You could set up an excellent singing in the rain situation here.
Oh yeah, that's like the ultimate move.
Yeah, that's your combo.
The combo, yeah. So I do have a backstory for my superhero. After stepping down from the presidency, President Barack Obama discovered that his gift for inspiring people was a bit more of a gift than he thought.
Oh my god.
Trying to sway an entire nation pushed his mind to the limits, and it wasn't until he slowed down and retired that he realized the soft breezes that would often wash over the crowds during his speeches weren't a coincidence. Not only that, when volunteering at some local schools and getting extraordinary results from the students, President Barack Obama realized he could induce greatness in people in the forms of art, music, and dance. So, in this, President Barack Obama had found his new calling. He was going to use his powers to make as many people have as good a time as possible. So, he picked up a DJ table, slipped on some killer shades, put up his hood, and hit the world as Party Rock Barack.
So your hero is just Barack Obama. It's not even something weird happened to him to give him his powers. He just already had them.
So he discovered his abilities so the reason he became the president is because he manipulated people with the psychic weather subconsciously.
Did you just retcon Barack Obama?
I think that's what happened.
Yeah, dude.
Also, he can shoot vibrating balls. That's...
Oh yeah, sorry. So what he does is he uses his power to instill awesome dance moves and super good vibes into any party or club that he's at. When he needs to actually fight crime, he uses his vibration ball powers, but he's always known about those and be able to use those since he was a kid. So he didn't discover those new. He just always had the vibration ball powers.
I see.
Even during the presidency. They didn't come up much. So my superhero is President Barack Obama, who is now a DJ, a crime-fighting DJ.
You've made this really hard for me.
Yeah, do you even want to win against Barack Obama?
I'm strongly conflicted.
Chris, what do you got?
Okay, so my 3 powers, my first one was aerial communication, which is the ability to communicate with the winds. So basically I can just gain information from wind. So if there's someone across the field or something and the wind blows towards me, then I can know that he's over there. That's how I interpreted that power.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I got out of it too. Yeah.
And then my second power is dark fire breath, which is
Cool.
basically what it sounds like. I can breathe dark fire from my mouth. I actually looked up what dark fire is because it's not normal fire. So it is fire of a darker, detrimental nature, that which damages, destroys, and consumes anything, everything it comes across, representing the hazardous, destructive side of fire.
As opposed to its non-destructive happy side.
Well, it says it ignores most of the limitations and weaknesses of normal fire. So I don't know exactly what that means. I guess that means that water doesn't put it out.
I guess.
Yeah, I would say it's a very, very good fire.
It's a good fire.
Yeah. And then my third power is fallout mimicry, which is the power to transform into or have the physical body made out of fallout. And there are different types of fallout. It said that you could be like volcano fallout or nuclear fallout. I chose nuclear fallout.
That's kind of the go-to. Yeah.
And I said that I don't transform into it. I'm just always nuclear fallout.
Oh, that's gonna be handy.
And then I also have a backstory for my character. I'm a 13-year-old boy, Danny Doppler, from Nevada, and I am a descendant of Christian Doppler, the guy that discovered the Doppler effect, which the Doppler radar is based off of.
Do you want to explain what the Doppler effect is?
Okay. So it's like if you imagine like a car coming towards you and it's like honking its horn or something, the sound waves are closer together because the car is coming towards you when the sound waves reach you, and then when it's going away from you, the sound waves are further away from each other. So you'll hear it'll be like a higher pitch one's coming towards you and then a lower pitch one's going away from you. At a young age, Danny Doppler was basically like a savant at meteorology. It was like he's destined to become a weatherman. So
He said it was gonna rain, and then it rained. What the fuck?
I know, yeah. So he basically just skipped all school and learning and just became a professional weatherman at age 13. But because he's so good at it, but that's not actually his real passion. His real passion is performing. Specifically, he liked performing as a fire eater. So one day, he like moonlights as a fire eater, and then his day job is weatherman. And then one day there was a hurricane in Nevada in like a small town somewhere. So his boss sends him out to get wind readings, like measure the wind speeds. But
Sounds like an intern job. Go out into the hurricane, please.
Yeah. I mean, weathermen, they do that all the time. They like go out to the actual storm. But he can't drive, so his mom drives him there, and she drops him off at the town, and in the town he notices that it's like super empty for some reason. Like there's nobody in the town. And he like goes to the hotel, there's nobody in the hotel, so he's like, sweet, free hotel stay. And he brings all of his fire eating equipment because he figures he'll be bored at night. He wants to like perform at night for people, just like in the street. So he brings all of his fire eating equipment. And then when he wakes up the next morning, he wakes up to an alarm like blaring outside, and he realizes that his mom had taken a wrong turn and didn't drop him off at the same town that he was supposed to go to. He dropped him off at the Nevada Proving Ground, which is like the testing facility for nuclear bombs.
Oh no!
And he's in a like fake model town. That's why it was empty. And a bomb hits him, a nuclear bomb. He survives, but he gains the fallout power, and then his wind measurement equipment stuff and his fire eating equipment stuff fuse with him. And he gains the powers of those two.
Okay.
And that is how Fallout Boy is born.
Of course his name is Fallout Boy.
I literally made him a 13-year-old boy just so I could call him Fallout Boy.
As soon as you said he was a 13-year-old boy, I knew that was the end result.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't see it coming and I hate it.
Also, just to be clear, so my, scary biker guy is fighting a 13-year-old boy and Barack Obama. I am not winning the hearts and minds.
So you're a villain.
That's what it looks like.
I mean, I think I'm a villain too, based on my powers.
Probably.
Like, Fallout, I'm gonna, like, radiate radiation from my Fallout power, and I have dark fire breath that, like, destroys everything and can't be put out.
Can we say you've been like this for a while? Like, you still look 13, but you're, like, actually, like, 45 or something, so that we don't have to feel so bad about killing you?
And I just didn't feel like changing the name. I didn't want to rebrand.
Yep.
Yeah, you didn't want to rebrand. Because you're all Fallout, you...
See, it's perfect. So the reason you ever changed your branding is that the band came out and they went to court with you over the copyright. And if you ever stop using it, they will get it. So you can't.
And you still have like your merch live on your website.
Exactly.
Like it trickles and it's a little trickle of sales, but it helps you keep your fire breathing gig going.
Oh, so I'm still street performing as a fire eater or fire breather now, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, what am I selling?
I mean, just Fallout Boy t-shirts. Except like it's not the band logo and it's just like pictures of you.
Also, they're all irradiated because you gave them to people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So those are the three fighters
Party Rock Barack, Fallout Boy, and
Dirt Bike.
Dirt Bike.
We didn't pick an arena, but I guess we can just
It would
do
be Central Park still.
Central Park again.
Yeah.
Central Park is our typical fighting arena. It seems to have a good balance of,
Trees and city.
Trees and City.
yeah, trees and city for all the things superheroes might need. It's got water in places. It's got like dirt.
There's
it's got
a
rocks.
zoo.
There is a zoo.
The zoo's not relevant. This
You just felt like saying that.
hang out there before we start fighting.
The zoo could be relevant. I can artistically induce animals.
This is true. So how's this gonna go?
So does anyone have an opening gambit?
I mean, I
guess?
definitely start ensoling trees.
Yeah, I think Ben has a pretty big advantage with his life-giving power. He can like build an army.
You can light my army on fire though, which seems like a pretty good counter.
It's true. I mean, you don't have to pick trees.
I guess I could, bring there's big rocks in Central Park too. That's kind of terrifying.
You could shoot the rocks and then make them alive while they're flying through the air.
That sounds awesome, actually. So I guess that's my opening gambit.
So I have one thing written down as probably a fairly similar opening gambit, which is Angry Capoeira Storm.
What?
What?
So obviously the artistic arts are not super great for fighting, but if you've watched Bob's Burger or otherwise know about it, there's the practice of capoeira, which is dance fighting.
If you've ever played Tekken, Eddie Gordo, is that right? There's a guy in Tekken who uses capoeira.
Capoeira.
Yeah.
Yeah. So either go to the street and get some city people, or go to the zoo, because I think that's a much better idea. So I'm gonna go to the zoo, and I'm going to induce capoeira abilities in the animals, and then they have this ability, but they're not really doing anything yet. So I'm gonna get some stormy weather and make them mad.
Fun fact: do you know the roots of capoeira, by the way? Because it's actually kind of cool.
No.
I don't.
So it was developed by African slaves. I don't think it was in the U.S. I don't remember where it was. I think it was somewhere in South America. But it was developed by them because it was a martial art they could practice that looked like dancing. So they could train in this martial art in a way that didn't look like they were actually training a martial art.
That makes sense. That's cool.
Which was cool. Because obviously they couldn't just practice an actual martial art because that would get put down pretty quickly. So yeah, fun fact.
So I think we're gonna have my angry capoeira animal army against Ben's.
Can you?
Yeah, both of you have armies.
Can they please be angry capoeira capybaras?
Yeah, capoeiras. It's all bears. They're running a special, and it's just all bears. So I have 24 bears.
The thing with me is with my radiation, it might not kill you immediately, but you'll die eventually.
Yeah, you're the long-term winner. I think this is a lose-lose-lose situation.
And then if you do go close to me, I have the fire breath, which is pretty powerful, I think.
That's true.
And I don't think you'll be able to sneak up on me because of my wind power. So
I think we just have to wear you down.
So I'm wondering if I could if you can read the wind. What about psychic wind? Can I make the wind just fucking wild and crazy? Just put insane gibbering in the wind to give you a headache or something?
So you'd be manipulating the psyche of the weather?
I'm still a little confused about how that power works.
Everyone is.
I don't get if it's I don't get if I'm manipulating a little bit of weather that happens to make people sad, or if I literally have a magic separate weather that's in the air.
I think what you're doing is manipulating people's psychic weather. No, that doesn't. Okay, wait, hold on. It's I read it almost as you're inducing emotions, but those emotions are related to weather.
No, I can shape and manipulate psychic weather.
What is psychic weather? No
Yeah,
one
I don't know.
knows.
I think I make weather that is has extra bonuses of being psychically effective. So I think I can make I can't make a fucking tornado, but I can make if I make rain, when people get hit by the rain, they feel depressed.
They get depressed. So I don't know what jittery wind would do to me in terms of emotions.
Okay. Let's see. So, what is your life creation army look like? Trees?
I think it's gonna start as trees just because there are a lot of trees in Central Park. But once I encounter the flame breath, I'm probably gonna start doing I feel like there's a lot of big rocks that people just sit on in Central Park. And just,
it's rock dudes.
Yeah, big old rock golem dealios.
Now these things you create, they're independent?
Let's see.
Yeah, do they have free will, or are you controlling them?
So it says granted sapience/sentience and possibly even free will/soul of its own. I'm going to say I'm giving them free will because that feels more like what a former hippie would do.
Okay.
Also, a biker, actually, there's a bit of an overlap in like the ideals of bikers and hippies now that I think about it. Anyway.
So what type of weather do you guys think is betrayal weather?
Betrayal weather.
It definitely involves rain.
I mean, the only like obvious weather emotions I can think of are rain as sad and sunny as happy.
Okay, so there's definitely some kind of winds. Like I think you can make an angry wind. Like a blustery day can be.
I guess it's like
windy.
a wrathful storm.
You could do like sleepy snow day too.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna make your fucking shit sleepy. I'm gonna snow on your trees and make them sleepy trees, and so that they start acting like just regular trees.
All right, Bob Ross. Let's make some sleepy trees here.
Oh, Bob Ross would have been such a better person to do.
Bob Ross was God. Yeah, why did you do Bob Ross? That was perfect. It was right in front of you.
It really was. Holy shit! Why didn't I do this?
Oh well.
Mostly because I had like I got on the DJ idea and I had Party Rock something as my character name because I like that flow.
Yeah. No, it's true.
And then Barack was the name that stuck with that as far as like sounding good. But damn, if I was Bob Ross.
Oh well. So I have sleepy trees. But they're still going, I guess. But they're not as effective.
What I think it is, I don't think I can beat your trees, but I think I can get around your trees. I think my bears can get like past your trees and start attacking you directly. Unfortunately, now I think you can just shoot my bears.
Yeah.
Also, you're not going to have an army of bears because a zoo doesn't have just a ton of bears.
Well, we decided that it was Bear Day so that we could replace all the animals with bears.
Yeah, they had a bear special.
Okay.
Just so we could make the pun capybara.
Yeah.
So Ben, you got let's say half the bears. Let's say you got a dozen bears coming at you.
All right, a dozen bears coming at me. Okay, I'm looking at spiritual flame manipulation again because I feel like I should use that in some way, even though I don't know how to.
Probably.
Can you sacrifice your trees to like burn themselves?
Like, I guess so. Actually, I can start igniting the souls of my.
If they have free will, they're not going to like that. I guess you don't have to give them free will, though.
That's true. I don't.
I think a way we can resolve this is if you light your trees on fire to make a firewall, less of my bears get through.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe like 4 of my bears make it through the fire forest.
So we use spiritual flame. Oh God, weird.
The cartoon trees that you've created and then wrought fire upon, like a wrathful god.
This ends in the destruction of New York City, doesn't it? Just like by some combination of flames and fallout.
I think all 3 of us are villains.
Okay, well, one of them is literally Barack Obama.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So maybe let's go with like anti-hero at worst. Wall of flaming trees plus earth gun. I think I can at least like.
So it's earth gun versus vibration balls.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I go and fight myself just yet. So I think I'm still behind on the other side of the fire trees.
Probably, yeah.
Well, how many bears did you take down with like a handgun before you got before they made it to you?
Well, I feel like if it's firing like a large rock, that's probably more effective than a bullet against a bear, right?
Yeah, it's definitely more effective than I think. Let's say it's more effective than a bullet. Like 1 shot per bear. How fast are bears?
Bears are pretty fast. And my mine is like a big chunky revolver, so I got 6 shots.
Yeah, 6 shots for bears.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
All right, so you think so? Let's say you can get the bears. So now you've defeated my bear. My bear army is defeated.
Yeah, but I've put a chunk in my tree army. Definitely taking a chunk out of it.
Yeah, your on fire tree army is pretty much gonzo.
Yeah.
Okay, so both armies are gone.
So what is Chris doing at this point? What has Fall Out Boy?
I'm just sitting there and watching, I think.
Well, that's very unhelpful.
So do you think dark fire is stronger or spirit fire is stronger?
I think Ben would have to sacrifice something to counter dark fire. He would have to definitely burn some soul.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other thing I have is just sitting there and letting you take radiation.
Yeah, but our podcast's supposed to be entertaining, and a superhero fight doesn't usually involve someone just fucking sitting on the ground and watching it.
I also don't know how much radiation I'm giving out, because that probably is pretty important.
Well, I guess it's based on your mass, which isn't that high because you're a 13-year-old boy.
I didn't really look into radiation that much.
Although a little bit of mass has a lot of radiation generally.
That is true. That's a good point, actually.
I did get directly hit by a nuclear bomb.
This is also true.
Well, we're just saying you're radioactive, like you are a radioactive material of some sort, which varies a lot, because some things are way more radioactive than others.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe we do it like if we are close to you for an extended period, like, you know, like 30 seconds to a minute, we start to feel bad. We'll get like nauseous or feel, you know, our skin will heat up. And
Okay.
maybe after a little bit longer, we get burns.
Within like a few feet or something?
Yeah, if you could get in melee range and stay there, somehow we would be in bad shape.
So I guess I would just do that.
Well, you should have walked to me because I'm gonna fucking vibration ball the shit out of you.
I don't know. I don't have like anything to control your vibration ball or to like deflect it. I don't have any like defensive powers. Also, I think if I breathe fire, it's just going to set everything on fire and it's not going to go out.
Which would not be great for Central Park.
Yeah, so the second I breathe fire, everything catches fire. And then wherever I walk, it's probably going to like I'm probably going to spread radiation. I'm kind of just a destructive force, but I'm probably going to die in the process of killing both of you.
I feel like this is a metaphor for something.
So I do feel like I'm probably going to die first.
That seems reasonable.
Okay, well, what if we look at it this way? Ben, if Ben just shoots you with his gun, like, do you have any defense against that?
I guess not.
My greatest weakness, bullets fired from a gun.
So I think that puts Chris right out, because I think regardless of how distracted you are, Ben, you would definitely be able to find a minute to shoot Chris with a gun.
That's probably true.
I mean, I guess, like, I could gather from my wind information that you're going to be aiming at me, and then I could try to move and stuff.
I mean, it is a gun, though.
It is a gun.
Guns are good at shooting people. It's kind of what they're for.
I could get a gun. It wouldn't be earth infused, but it'd still be a gun.
That is true.
So this is a weird one, because usually we have just weird powers that don't even hurt people, but now we all have like one main attack like ability that actually is like just a reasonable magic spell type thing.
Yeah. So I feel like, okay, the long game Chris wins because Fallout. The not multiple years.
Wait, he's gonna be long dead, so that's last place.
Fair enough. That's true.
Yeah, if we're going by that. I
Long
will have
game?
killed 2 people, though.
Reasonable. Long game, there are more trees than animals to make dance in Central Park.
Okay, what if I pull the president card and I announce
I have Secret Service on my ass, don't I? Oh, shit.
Oh shit, I actually just have Secret Service like just around.
That's a game changer.
Hold on, bro. Barack Obama might just easily win.
Do you have
Check
Secret
this out.
Service after you?
Yes, you
aren't
do.
president?
You always have Secret Service protection
Oh,
for our presidents.
I didn't know that.
That's a game changer
So I
right
have
there.
Secret Service, and if I announce like, "Hey, I'm gonna give a speech at Central Park," I'm gonna have a much bigger party crowd to increase my angry capoeira storm capabilities.
And they're all going to be supporters of you, so they're going to like follow orders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so out of all the magic powers I've granted myself, my biggest one is that I'm President Barack Obama.
Yep.
The thing is, you don't control the animals. You just make them better at art. So if you make them angry, they might start killing your followers.
This is also true.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the bears, if I have a crowd of people, I'm going to ignore the bears. Maybe the bears are the last resort, to like, I ran out of crowd people and now I have to fight with bears.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a big crowd of people, the big crowd of people would probably fare less good against the tree people.
This is also, yeah.
So I think it's going to be close to 50-50 between me and Ben's army, and I think whichever army prevails will prevail, because I don't think any of us are beating an army just ourselves.
There are apparently roughly 20,000 trees in Central Park.
There are approximately 7 million people in New York City.
But how many people will be at a speech? A lot will be at a speech. What's the conversion rate between capoeira people and living trees in terms
Well,
of...
if I give them all, in terms of how many capoeira people does it take to
Okay,
take down
actually,
one
wait,
tree?
no, here's an important question. What can a person using capoeira even really well do against a tree?
I can walk past it.
Oh.
I mean, the only like evidence we have of how well trees do is from Lord of the Rings.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. They do pretty
Wait,
well.
should
at
you-
it.
pretty well.
Look up largest Central Park crowd and ended up putting largest Central Park tree.
Well, what's the answer to that? Because that's relevant here too.
Yeah, that's also relevant.
Let's see. Doesn't tell me how tall it is. It just tells me what the species is, which is unhelpful.
Oh well. All right, give us a crowd then. Let's get some crowd size.
The thing is, Ben can make anything. He can give anything life. It doesn't have to be just trees.
That is also true.
If he runs out of trees, he can just make something else alive.
Like cars and shit.
Yeah.
All right. It said
Literally
that
anything.
50,000 people came to the mall, which is in Central Park, to hear Italian opera star Enrico Caruso entertain a crowd by performing a version of Over There in both English and French during a concert in 1918? Oh, here's the real numbers.
I was gonna say that seemed low, and also in 1918.
Yeah. Number one, July 1986, New York Philharmonic in Central Park. 800,000 people.
There we go. That's more like it.
I mean, the more relevant question, I think, is when was the last time Obama spoke in New York and how many people saw him?
Actually, I like the 800,000 one because that is probably close to what you can actually just get in Central Park for like an event like that.
So there's definitely going to be more people than trees.
Yeah. I just don't know what the conversion rate is.
Okay, I'm just going to go, how many people would it take to defeat an ant?
A tree.
Please tell me there's an answer to this. God, to get really dark, conceivably I could just make a ring of fire myself and a ring of fire around Central Park and then move them in.
That is true. The fire thing is pretty effective.
The fire thing is quite effective, actually.
Yeah, and New York City burned with the fire of 800,000 souls.
Yep.
Okay, do you want to do
Yeah,
percentages?
Let's do percentages.
So I think Ben has a slight edge over you.
Yeah.
It's pretty close, but I think Ben just edges over you.
I think the fact that, depending on the soul firepower, if he can burn my souls, and I guess your creatures that you create are more effective. So I think it's just kind of like 55-45, me, you, Ben. Sorry, 55 you, 45
I'm going to say 54-44-2, just to, there's some
Yeah, I like to give some to me. Just because
the super
knowledge
long
that both
game.
of you are going to die eventually.
Yeah.
I guess there's a chance that our fighting campaign gets so prolonged and protracted into a full-on war that during the war,
We all die of cancer. Oh.
as we stand as generals on either side 10 years down the line, we both mysteriously get ill and die.
54-44-2.
All right, and with that brings us to the end of our episode, guys. So if you, the listener, want to listen to more absurd hypothetical questions, join us next week where we answer the following. Oh, we don't have questions next week because it is a lightning round, which means we have lots of questions, too many for me to list here, and we are just going to go lightning round straight through all of them. It's going to be sick.